I've spray painted a mouse with a whole bunch of mistakes on purpose. So if you want to ever make something that looks super scuffed, so like I don't know, some of the things that like a worn down texture for some reason. Good examples I can think of is like used Halo armor or used Gears of War armor, like the battle worn stuff. If you want to make something that looks similar to that, go ahead by all means, make a whole bunch of these mistakes, and you can actually strategically make these mistakes to make things look worn down. Now, if you want to make something that looks a little more factory, well, I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts for these kind of things. And yeah, so this is what I'm going to be using to demonstrate what I've got here today. I've got also the little hand cam over here, mainly because uh, this mouse looks really good, as you can see in the thing. But you can see that there are a little bits and pieces of black. Those bits and pieces of black are like mistakes that someone that doesn't know about painting would make. Just for starters, I am not a professional painter. I only learned painting, like spray painting specifically, in high school. I only did a few projects with it, and I learned the do's and don'ts for the most part of spray painting. But I did not learn about spray painting for plastic. That's what I did not learn, and that is what I'm here to talk about. So first off, spray painting for metal, wood, spray painting for plastic, spray painting for clothing like satin, like fabrics. Um, they're all different. They all require different paints. They all have different properties, and um, even spray painting for acrylic as well. They're all different. They all use different paints. They all use different materials and stuff like that. So they all have different properties. Main thing that you should take note of is figure out what you want to spray paint. If you just want to spray paint on, let's say, concrete, there is actually specialized concrete spray paint. If you want to spray paint on whatever surface, make sure you look up what that surface is. If you can physically see it and touch it, and you could figure out what it is, then you can go ahead and buy the spray paint accordingly. In this video, I'm going to be specifically talking about plastic. This is plastic. This is not metal. This is an old Pulsefire FPS. It's a HyperX Pulsefire FPS mouse. It's not the RGB edition. This was actually the original one, the first one, which was all red. Over here in the bottom webcam, it basically looks like a Razer Death Adder. And yeah, so this is my test. This was my test subject, and well, I'm going to be talking about it now. So first things first is you want to study the mouse, or if you want to do a keyboard, study the keyboard. If you built it yourself, you probably already know the ins and outs of the product. But for this case, it's a mouse, and you probably didn't build it yourself. You probably bought it from somewhere. You probably maybe hot swapped the switches, and if you've ever opened your mouse, you would basically know all the properties of it. So this mouse actually has side grips that is removable. It's just stuck on there. It's just adhesive. So what I did in the beginning was I took the adhesives off, and this is how to do it properly, how to spray paint properly. For plastic at least, you need two kinds of paint. Technically, you can go three, which is one is an adhesive, the other one is the actual color, and then the last one would be gloss. In this specific scenario, I only needed two. The paint had gloss mixed with it, so it's not the perfect finish, but it is a finish. And yeah, so in this scenario, what I did was I just took the adhesives on the side off, just took the mouse, put it outside, and I also did the thing that you should never do is put it in a dusty environment. I did it this personally. I did on my balcony, and I live in an industrial area, so a lot of dust gets blown on that balcony. It's really dusty, and there are results of that dust underneath the paint, and it feels very rough. It almost feels like sandpaper itself. So I did go through the process of sanding the mouse down before putting the coats on. That's about the only thing I did properly. Everything else I basically did on purpose. So if you can see right here on the top, there's a black mark right there. That is what happens when you touch the paint. Let's say you make a layer that's too thick. If you spray too much paint, it will take longer to dry. And this is what happens if you were to be impatient and touch it. This is the kind of marking you would get, and you can't really fix it. In the back, more in the back over here, as you can see, Right above here, there is like, it almost looks like scratch marks. It's basically what happens if you have anything accidentally swipe it while it's drying. So let's say it's in the, let's say you spray painted it, you lift it out to dry and something accidentally touches it. You get this kind of like scuffing in the back. Down here, you can see it almost looks like it's starting to peel already. That's not peel. That's actually what happens if you don't have the mouse or whatever you're trying to spray paint held up properly in a way that you can just let it like hang and fully coat. For example, this was on the floor and it was tilted up like this. I just propped it up on something and I tilted it up so that it would be like this, and then I could spray the whole sides. This is what happens to the bottom. Now, I'm going to move on to the bottom because the bottom is pretty obvious. As you can see, one side, this side over here is really dark, and then this side over here is really light. You can see it. This side over here is what happens when you don't spray or you don't coat whatever you're doing properly. So yeah, aside from just having weird scuffings like that, there are also texture problems. So when I touch it like this, specifically on the hump of the shell, it's very rough. There's dust underneath it, like I mentioned before. Have it so that it could air out and it could dry, but no dust would go near you. Another thing is when spray painting, this goes for any kind of spray painting. This goes for anything that you use that is a spray can. It is recommended that you do wear eye protection and mouth protection, or like some kind of face protection. Mainly because, you know, microparticles, paint, anything like that, that's toxic to your body. And eyes, you don't want to get any of this stuff in your eyes. Trust me, I've gotten crazy glue in my eye, and this eye in particular. And let me tell you, that was one of the worst experiences of my life so far. Mainly because I almost went blind, and now I just feel like this eye is just always sagging or something like that every time I look in the mirror. But yeah, so that's going to be it for now, or this video. This is a collection of problems on the mouse when you spray paint it incorrectly. If you want to do a nice paint job, obviously the key to all of that is literally just take your time. It's just take your time when you're painting. Like, there's no rush. A good job is a nice paint, and a nice paint, it takes time and it takes effort. There's a few ways to check if your paint is dry, by the way, if you do a nice coating on it. Let's say you're painting indoors and there is no sun on your subject. You can just touch the paint around the subject of whatever you're painting, and you will see if the paint sticks or if it's like very sticky and very like very grippy. That means it's still wet, so you gotta leave it longer. Also, I do recommend that in this case, at least, I did use 2x coverage and like 2 times faster drying paint or something like that. So my results might be different compared to your results if you don't use faster drying or anything like that. If you just use regular, you know, spray paint, then you will obviously get different results, and you will have to wait longer. I did this mouse in like not even 30 minutes, which is not ideal either. Like, you ideally should wait at least an hour, wait for it to fully dry, and then do the next coating. So yeah, if you learned something in this video, feel free to leave a like. And if you have any questions, comment. And of course, if you enjoy the content, subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next one. My name is Nath. Peace.